In the vibrant heart of Alameda, California, under the gentle glow of streetlights, the night of October 12, 1984, unfurled a tapestry of youthful spirits and laughter. Among this vivacity was Angela Samota, a beacon of hope and intelligence in her circle. With an infectious smile that could light up a room, Angela was the embodiment of dreams and aspirations, a young woman who dared to venture where few others had. Her footsteps echoed on the pavement as she strolled through the streets, the cool night air brushing against her skin. She had spent the evening engulfed in the warmth of friendship, her laughter mingling with the melodic backdrop of the city. But as the clock hands inched towards midnight, a shadow fell upon the night's charm. Arriving at her apartment, a sense of unease crept into Angela's heart. The world outside seemed to hush as she stepped inside, the door closing behind her with a soft click. In the solitude of her home, she paused, her instincts whispering of something amiss. Compelled by a mix of apprehension and duty, Angela reached for the phone. Her fingers trembled slightly as she dialed Ben McColl's number, her boyfriend, her confidant. The phone rang, cutting through the silence of the night. "Ben," she spoke, her voice a blend of fear and urgency. "Someone's here, in my apartment." Her words were a chilling prelude to a mystery that would remain shrouded in shadows for years to come. Promising to call back, she hung up, leaving Ben on the other end, his mind racing with worry and confusion. Little did he know that this call would be the last time he would hear her voice, a voice that would haunt him through the corridors of time. The phone call ended, but the night was far from over. It was the beginning of a tale that would weave itself into the fabric of unsolved mysteries, a tale of a bright life extinguished too soon, and a pursuit of truth that would span decades. In the stillness of her apartment, Angela stood alone, unaware that this night would mark the end of her journey and the beginning of a legend that would echo through the annals of time. In the heart of California, in the small city of Alameda, a tale of tragedy and resilience began to unfold. It was here, amidst the golden hues of the West Coast sun and the gentle lapping of the Pacific waves, that Angela Samota was born on September 19, 1964. She emerged into a world filled with possibilities, her life a blank canvas waiting to be painted with the vibrant colors of her dreams and aspirations. Angela's childhood was marked by the untimely passing of her father, leaving her mother to weave the fabric of their family alone. The loss cast a shadow over their home, but it also instilled in Angela a resilience that would define her character. She grew up understanding the value of strength and determination, qualities that would later guide her through the corridors of academia and into the realms of her ambitious dreams. As the youngest of 5 children, Angela's voice often echoed in the halls of their modest home, filled with laughter and a zest for life that was contagious. Her siblings saw in her not just a sister, but a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, one could rise and shine. In 1982, as the world around her buzzed with the energy of new beginnings, Angela stepped into a new chapter of her life. She graduated from high school, her name etched on the honor roll, a testament to her brilliance and hard work. With her eyes set on the horizon, she bid farewell to her childhood streets and set off for Southern Methodist University in Texas, her heart brimming with dreams and ambitions. At SMU, Angela chose to dive into the world of computer science and electrical engineering, fields that were, at the time, dominated by men. It was a bold move, a challenge she accepted with her characteristic determination. In the lecture halls and labs, she stood as one of the few women, a solitary figure in a sea of doubt and stereotype. Yet she never wavered. Her excellence in academics was unparalleled, her mind a whirlwind of ideas and innovation. Angela wasn't just attending university. She was making a statement, breaking barriers, and paving the way for future generations of women in technology. But it wasn't just her academic prowess that made Angela stand out. Her vibrant personality and kindness drew people to her, like moths to a flame. She was not just a student but a friend, a confidant, and a source of inspiration to many. As the sun set on her days at the university, Angela's life was blossoming into a beautiful tapestry of success and happiness. Little did she know, however, that the threads of her destiny were weaving a much different pattern, one that would entangle her in a mystery that would captivate the nation for years to come. As Angela Samota navigated the halls of Southern Methodist University, her life was not just a tapestry of academic achievements, but also a mosaic of personal connections. It was during these formative years that she crossed paths with Ben McColl, a man whose presence would become a pivotal chapter in her story. Ben, a figure of stability and strength, worked in a leading position at a construction company. He was a few years Angela's senior, a detail that only added depth to their connection. In him, Angela found not just a partner, but a confidant, someone with whom she could share her dreams and fears. Their relationship was a vibrant dance of two souls, a blend of love, respect, and mutual admiration. Ben, with his grounding presence, provided a counterbalance to Angela's spirited nature. He was her anchor in the ever-changing tides of life, offering support and understanding as she pursued her ambitious goals. As their bond deepened, Angela's world grew richer. She, who had always been the center of her friend's circle, now had someone who stood by her side, echoing her laughter and sharing her dreams. Their connection was a testament to the power of love, a reminder that in the journey of life, having someone to share the path with makes every step more meaningful. Together, Angela and Ben navigated the complexities of a young relationship. They were each other's support system, a safe haven in a world that was often challenging and demanding. With Ben, Angela found a sense of completeness, a feeling that, despite the odds, she was exactly where she was meant to be. Yet, as is often the case in tales of love and life, shadows lurked in the corners of their shared happiness. Unseen forces were at play, threads of fate weaving a narrative that would test the very foundations of their bond. Their story, a blend of joy and love, was about to be interrupted by a turn of events that would send ripples through their lives and beyond. The night of October 12, 1984, would mark a turning point, a moment in time that would forever change the course of their journey together. In the echoes of their laughter and the warmth of their embrace, neither Angela nor Ben could have foreseen the tragedy that was about to unfold, a tragedy that would transform their tale of love into a saga of loss, mystery, and a relentless quest for justice. The evening of October 12, 1984, descended upon the city, cloaked in the ordinary guise of a Friday night. Angela Samota, with her ever-present zest for life, decided to embrace the spirit of the weekend. She extended an invitation to Ben McColl, her partner in life's dance, to join her for a night out. But destiny, with its unpredictable whims, had other plans. Ben, bound by the responsibilities of his job, declined the offer, unaware of the crucial role this decision would play in the events to unfold. Undeterred, Angela chose to spend the evening with her friend Anita and their mutual acquaintance, Russell. The trio embarked on a night of revelry, visiting various local bars, their laughter and chatter blending seamlessly with the city's nocturnal symphony. Angela, ever mindful of her commitments, refrained from indulging too heavily in the night's libations, a decision that mirrored her responsible and thoughtful nature. As the night waned and the clock hands marched towards the witching hour, the group decided to call it a night. Angela, with her characteristic kindness, offered to drive her friends home. First, they dropped Russell off at his residence, and then Angela drove Anita to her dormitory. The night, it seemed, was winding down to a peaceful close. However, fate had etched a different ending to Angela's night. On her way home, she made a brief detour to Ben's place, a small act underpinned by the affection and bond they shared. After a fleeting visit, she continued her journey home, the streets quiet and desolate, echoing the lateness of the hour. Angela's apartment, located just a few blocks from Ben's residence, awaited her return, its familiarity a silent promise of safety and comfort. Little did she know that crossing its threshold would mark the beginning of a chilling sequence of events. It was shortly after Angela's arrival home that Ben's world was jolted by an unexpected phone call. It was Angela, her voice laced with an unmistakable undertone of distress. She spoke of a stranger who had knocked on her door, requesting to use her phone and restroom. The details were murky, the situation unclear, but the anxiety in her voice was as sharp as a knife's edge. Angela promised to call back shortly, a promise that hung in the air like a fragile hope. But as minutes ticked by, the return call never came. The silence that followed was deafening, a harbinger of the ominous reality that was soon to unfold. In those moments, the night transformed from a canvas of youthful escapades to a portrait of impending doom. Angela's call, initially a beacon of her presence, turned into an echo of her absence, setting the stage for a mystery that would haunt the corridors of time. In the quiet aftermath of Angela's unsettling phone call, Ben McColl found himself engulfed in a rising tide of concern. With each passing minute that Angela failed to return his call, his unease grew into a palpable sense of dread. Acting on a mix of instinct and worry, he made a decision that would forever entwine his fate with the tragic events of that night. Ben set out for Angela's apartment, driven by a desperate need to ensure her safety. The night air was still as Ben navigated the familiar streets to Angela's residence. The city that once echoed with life now seemed eerily silent, as if holding its breath in anticipation of the unfolding drama. Arriving at her apartment, Ben's calls and knocks were met with nothing but the hollow echo of unanswered pleas. Faced with the deafening silence from within, Ben's initial worry morphed into a deep-rooted fear. He knew something was terribly amiss. In a move born of desperation, he reached out to the only help he could think of: the police. The wait for their arrival was agonizing, each minute stretching into what felt like an eternity. When the police finally arrived, they approached the situation with a caution that belied the urgency of Ben's concerns. Initially hesitant to forcibly enter the apartment, they sought the assistance of the residential complex's manager to gain access. The moment the door to Angela's apartment swung open, it became chillingly clear that the night had taken a sinister turn. The first ominous sign was a lone shoe, lying in the middle of the living room, a silent testament to the chaos that had unfolded. The police officers, with Ben anxiously trailing behind, moved through the apartment with a growing sense of dread. It was in the bedroom that the full horror of the situation revealed itself. There, in the dimly lit room, lay Angela, her lifeless form a stark contrast to the vibrancy and vitality she once embodied. The scene was a macabre tableau. Angela was found without any clothing, her body bearing the brutal marks of 18 stab wounds, a cruel and violent end to a life so full of promise. This harrowing discovery marked the beginning of a long and complex investigation, a quest for truth that would span over 2 decades. As the police cordoned off the scene, a myriad of questions swirled in the air. Who could have committed such a heinous act? What could have possibly led to this tragic end? In the aftermath of that night, the city that had once been a backdrop to Angela's dreams and aspirations became the stage for a mystery that echoed with the pain of loss and the thirst for justice. The hunt for her killer had begun, a journey that would delve deep into the shadows of human nature. The morning after the gruesome discovery of Angela Samota's body, the city awoke to a reality tainted by shock and grief. As the news of the brutal murder spread, a veil of sorrow and disbelief descended upon those who knew Angela. The police, tasked with the monumental responsibility of bringing her killer to justice, initiated an investigation that promised to be as complex as it was urgent. The crime scene offered the first pieces of the intricate puzzle. The lack of forced entry suggested a chilling possibility. Angela might have known her assailant. This detail, coupled with the nature of the attack, painted a picture of a crime both personal and savage. Investigators meticulously combed through Angela's apartment, seeking clues that could shed light on the perpetrator. Each piece of evidence, from the ominous shoe in the living room to the bloodstains that marred the once serene space, was a silent witness to the tragedy. Despite the collection of forensic evidence, including fingerprints and biological material, The technological limitations of the time hampered the process. The DNA analysis, still in its infancy, yielded no immediate suspects. The investigation branched out in multiple directions. Detectives delved into Angela's personal life, interviewing friends, acquaintances, and anyone who might have crossed paths with her. Each interview was a search for a needle in a haystack, a quest for that one clue that could break the case wide open. Among the first to be scrutinized was Ben McColl, Angela's boyfriend. His recounting of the mysterious late-night call added a layer of intrigue to the investigation. Was it a random intruder Angela referred to, or was it a fabrication of a more sinister plot? The police, while considering Ben's account, could not overlook him as a potential suspect. His willingness to provide fingerprints and a blood sample, which later cleared him, was a testament to his desperation to find Angela's killer. The focus then shifted to Angela's circle of friends and acquaintances. Russell, the mutual friend who had spent time with Angela on her last night, emerged as a person of interest. The fact that he was unaccounted for the day after the murder raised suspicions. However, as with Ben, the lack of concrete evidence and Russell's eventual alibi led the investigation to a dead end. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the trail grew cold. The police pursued every lead, every possible angle, but the elusive nature of the crime left them grasping at shadows. Angela's killer remained at large, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the persistence of evil. The investigation, once a sprint, settled into a marathon. Years passed with little progress, the case teetering on the edge of becoming just another cold file in the archives. But for those who loved Angela, and for the detectives committed to justice, giving up was never an option. The quest to solve the mystery of her death became a testament to the enduring human spirit, a relentless pursuit of truth in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As years slipped by, the investigation into Angela Samota's murder became a haunting specter of unresolved justice. The once fervent pace of the police inquiry gradually waned, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and a killer lurking in the shadows, cloaked in anonymity. Angela's case, once a beacon for media attention and police activity, threatened to fade into the annals of cold cases, another unsolved tragedy in a world all too familiar with such endings. Throughout this period, the landscape of crime-solving underwent a dramatic transformation. Advances in forensic science, particularly in DNA technology, revolutionized the way law enforcement approached cold cases. Yet despite these breakthroughs, Angela's case remained stagnant, a puzzle with missing pieces that seemed impossible to find. The police followed various leads and scrutinized numerous suspects. Among them was a former boyfriend of Angela's from her hometown. His history of aggressive behavior and a reported threat with a knife once made him a figure of suspicion. However, the absence of concrete evidence and his non-matching blood type cleared him of any involvement. Another avenue of investigation led to Russell, the friend who had last seen Angela on the night of her murder. His sudden departure from the city following the crime raised eyebrows. However, the lack of physical evidence linking him to the crime scene and his eventual alibi left the police with more questions than answers. Despite these efforts, the case remained cold, its secrets buried under layers of time and fading memories. The police files on Angela's murder grew thick with reports and interviews, but they offered no closure, no solace to those who mourned her. The relentless passage of time turned Angela's case into a distant echo, a story that risked being forgotten. But for her loved ones and the dedicated detectives, the fight for justice never ceased. Angela's memory, kept alive in the hearts of those who knew her, became a silent rallying cry for perseverance. The mystery of Angela Samota's death, frozen in time, continued to challenge the resolve of those seeking justice. It stood as a stark reminder of the complex and often elusive nature of truth. The years may have passed, but the determination to uncover the truth and bring Angela's killer to justice remained undimmed, a testament to the enduring quest for closure and the unyielding spirit of those who seek it. The relentless march of time had turned Angela Samota's case into a shadowy relic of the past. But as the calendar pages turned to mark the early 2000s, a glimmer of hope emerged from the advancements in forensic science. The field of DNA analysis, once in its nascent stages during Angela's investigation, had evolved, offering new possibilities to revisit cold cases with a fresh lens. In 2008, nearly a quarter of a century after Angela's tragic death, a pivotal breakthrough breathed new life into the stagnant investigation. The biological material collected from the crime scene, which had been preserved despite the passage of time, was subjected to advanced DNA testing. This re-examination, fueled by technological progress, promised to unlock secrets that had remained buried for decades. The tension was palpable as detectives awaited the results, a mix of hope and the weight of years of frustration hanging in the balance. The outcome of this analysis had the potential to redefine the entire investigation, to finally offer a path to solving the enigmatic puzzle of Angela's murder. Then, in a moment that felt as though time itself had paused, the results arrived. The DNA profile extracted from the crime scene was entered into the FBI's national database, a repository of genetic blueprints from criminals across the country. The match that came back was definitive and irrefutable, a 1 in a billion certainty that pointed to one man, Donald Bess. Donald Bess, a name previously unconnected to Angela's world, was a convicted rapist and murderer, already incarcerated for other heinous crimes. His DNA, preserved in the criminal database, was a perfect match to the sample from Angela's apartment. This revelation was a seismic shift in the investigation, turning all previous theories and suspicions on their heads. The revelation that Bess, a man with a history of violence and predation, was Angela's killer, sent shockwaves through the community and law enforcement. It was a sobering reminder of the randomness of violence and the cruel intersections of fate. As detectives delved into Bess's past, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together in a grim picture. His history of criminal activity and incarceration painted a portrait of a man capable of the brutality that marked Angela's final moments. This breakthrough was a turning point in the case, a long-awaited answer in the quest for justice. For those who had kept Angela's memory alive, this development was a bittersweet vindication of their unwavering determination. The truth, hidden for so long in the shadows of the past, had finally come to light, offering a chance for closure and justice in a tale that had been marked by uncertainty and sorrow. The revelation of Donald Bess as Angela Samota's murderer marked a profound moment in the long, arduous journey towards justice. As the wheels of the legal system began to turn, the focus shifted from the unanswered questions of the past to the courtroom, where the final chapter of this tragic saga would be written. Bess, already serving a life sentence for his other crimes, was brought to trial for Angela's murder. The courtroom became a battleground where the harrowing details of that fateful night were revisited, and the brutality of the crime laid bare. The DNA evidence stood as a silent, incontrovertible witness against Bess, its testimony unshakable and damning. The trial, heavily covered by the media, rekindled public interest in the case. Angela's story, once at risk of being lost in the annals of cold cases, was now at the forefront of the community's consciousness. Her life and untimely death were recounted, painting a portrait of a vibrant, promising young woman whose life was brutally snatched away. As the trial progressed, the evidence against Bess mounted. The DNA analysis, which had been the catalyst for this final act of justice, was complemented by the recounting of Bess's past crimes. His history of violence and predation painted a chilling picture of a man capable of such a heinous act. The jury, faced with the weight of the evidence, deliberated on the fate of Donald Bess. In a verdict that brought a collective sigh of relief and a sense of somber vindication, Bess was found guilty of Angela's murder. The sentence was unequivocal. He was condemned to death, a ruling that reflected the gravity of his crime and the years of pain and uncertainty that followed. For Angela's family, friends, and the detectives who had worked tirelessly on the case, the verdict was a bittersweet moment. While nothing could bring Angela back or erase the years of anguish, the conviction of her killer offered a sense of closure, a finality to a chapter that had been open for far too long. Justice, in its most profound sense, had been served. Angela's memory was honored not just in the verdict, but in the renewed recognition of her life, her aspirations, and the indelible mark she left on those who knew her. The end of the trial was not just the conclusion of a legal process, but a tribute to a life cut tragically short and a testament to the relentless pursuit of truth and justice. As the dust settled on the trial of Donald Bess, the long shadow cast by Angela Samota's murder began to recede, giving way to a period of reflection and healing. The conviction of her killer brought a sense of closure, but it also opened a space for Angela's memory to be honored and celebrated, beyond the circumstances of her tragic end. Amidst the aftermath of the trial, Sheila, Angela's close friend and confidant, emerged as a beacon of resilience and dedication. Throughout the years, Sheila had been a tireless advocate for Angela, relentlessly pushing for the investigation to continue, even when it seemed all leads had gone cold. Her unwavering commitment played a crucial role in keeping the case alive, eventually leading to the breakthrough that brought Bess to justice. Sheila's journey through the labyrinth of grief and her pursuit of justice for Angela transformed her in profound ways. Inspired by her own experience, she resolved to extend her support to others who were grappling with similar unsolved tragedies. In a tribute to Angela's legacy, Sheila founded a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping families of cold case victims. Her work became a source of solace and hope, turning her personal tragedy into a force for communal healing and support. Meanwhile, Russell, who had once been a person of interest in the case, received a formal apology from the police department. The long shadow of suspicion that had once hung over him was finally lifted, allowing him to reclaim his life and reputation. His story served as a poignant reminder of the far-reaching impacts of such investigations on the lives of those inadvertently caught in their wake. Angela's case also left an indelible mark on the law enforcement community. It highlighted the importance of perseverance in investigations and the potential of emerging forensic technologies. Her case became a reference point, a lesson in the value of revisiting cold cases with fresh perspectives and tools. As the years continued to pass, the narrative of Angela Samota's life and death evolved from a tale of unsolved mystery to a story of justice achieved. Her memory, once overshadowed by the brutal circumstances of her death, was now remembered for the vibrancy of her life and the enduring impact of her legacy. In the heart of those who knew her, Angela remained a symbol of lost potential and a reminder of the fragility of life. Yet, through the tireless efforts of those who sought justice in her name, she also became a symbol of hope and the relentless pursuit of truth. Angela's story, etched into the annals of time, continues to resonate as a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity and loss.